A recent survey found 3 in 10 Americans pulled from their retirement funds during the pandemic. 47% of people either stopped or reduced contributing to their retirement savings. Local financial expert Mike Martinez is here to share with us the importance of your retirement savings and maybe some unique ideas, some tips for people in certain circumstances. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
All right, you say that people ought to look at a cash-out refinance?
Yes, John, a cash-out refinance is when someone takes out the equity of their property by refinancing at a lower interest rate. Remember, interest rates today are under 4%, so it's very tempting at 3% to go ahead and refinance and draw that money out. Now, this is something that most of us are not familiar with. So let's say your situation is you have a job, you have a cash flow, you're kind of done with your responsibility with your children, and you're a little bit behind in your retirement. You could pull that equity out, refinance at a low interest rate, invest that money, and have that money grow so that way you can accelerate your retirement account. Now, this is not one size fits all, John. So let's make sure your viewers understand this is not for everybody. They need to get with a professional and go over this idea.
Well, that's a good point, because one of your thoughts is, we saw on the screen, was a personal line of credit. People are very familiar with credit, obviously, but not necessarily a personal line of credit.
Correct. Well, we use that to pay for our college educations or some bills, but a lot of folks now that are in a good position, like I said, they have some cash flow, can take that money out because interest rates are so low, and it's very tempting to go ahead and invest that money and create maybe 6-7% rate of return, and you're borrowing the money at somewhere around 3.25%. So when you do the math, it makes sense to kind of consider that, again, if we're behind the 8 ball and we can use a little acceleration in our retirement.
Mike, when it comes to refinancing outstanding debt, what's the key as to whether that makes sense?
Now, this one, John, I want to make sure your viewers are very careful. We don't want to hurt anybody, but a lot of times we're sitting here and we have bills up to our nose and we have a good cash flow. But what happened was we ran up our credit cards and we got a little bit behind that 8 ball. So what we're saying is if you could take that and consolidate them at a low interest rate and just pay one small monthly bill and get rid of those bills, that frees up a lot of cash to allow you to, again, contribute to retirement. What you don't want to do is run those credit cards back up again. Now you have that refinance, and then you also created more debts, and that could put you in a really bad position.
Because that will hit your credit rating. The credit companies know that. If you refinance and then you start getting debt again, they will slam you for that.
Yes, for being overextended, not necessarily for being late on the payments, but just having too much credit.
Mike, you know, the last one on the screen, I think, might raise some eyebrows. Pull back on building an emergency fund? That's obviously not one size fits all.
You know, I'm a big advocate about making sure that you have at least 6 months of emergency money in case we got laid off or the pandemic. But right now, because of the way the markets are performing, the retirement money are growing, a lot of the experts are saying, if you got a little bit put aside, you'd like to have a little bit more, just basically maybe go into reducing that emergency fund and put a little bit more in that retirement account, because the market's doing so good that people are just anxious to make more money for retirement.
Gotcha. All right, Mike Martinez, we appreciate that. Thanks as always, Mike.
Thank you.